Welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling. Thank you for clicking on this one, tuning into another one. Really appreciate it and really appreciate all the feedback I've been getting. No vinyl to be talked about on this one. No CDs, no cassettes, no reel-to-reel either. No, I'm here to talk about a collection that is more or less complete, but by a group that you wouldn't think of as having been part of the 8-track era, but here they are. Now, most people think of 8-tracks as primarily a 70s medium, and that's definitely when they were most popular, but they were made in some form or another, depending on the act, depending on the record label, through mail order companies like Columbia House and RCA Music Service, all the way through 1988. At a certain point, there is a definite cutoff, but over the years I've come to find out there's more albums than I even thought about that exist on 8-track. So it kind of makes things interesting, it makes things fun, and you just never know what you're going to find out there. It opens up a world of possibilities. But I think I can be safe in saying that I've got the complete 8-track discography of Def Leppard. The quintessential 80s band on 8-track. So yes, they definitely were into the 8-track era. Not really surprising the first couple of albums, but still, given the band's success, you just don't run across them in this format that often. So I'm going to show you what versions that I've managed to find on this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Start off with On Through the Night, their first album from 1980. This is a US version on Mercury. There's a Mercury logo there in the corner. You don't see many Def Leppard 8-tracks. Goes without saying, really. This one's, it's not perfect shape. You're not likely to find them in perfect shape, but not bad. It's got the PDI up here, that's Polygram Distribution Incorporated. I've got some Rush 8-tracks that look like that, and that same design was used on their cassette cases. Next up, one of my favorite albums, High and Dry. This one's got some wear on it, a little bit of bubbling going on the labels. It's depending on how they were stored. Now, this particular 8-track looks an awful lot like a Columbia House version, yet it doesn't say Columbia House on here anywhere. Most notably, the blue border around the album cover kind of marks this. But I'm going to say that this is a retail tape because it doesn't say Columbia House on it anywhere, unless it came in a slipcase, in which case I've never seen that. So again, yes, some bubbling on here, but still. Now the only other thing about High and Dry is that in 1984, it was reissued with Me and My Wine. That track was added, which was a B-side, and also a remix of Bringing on the Heartbreak. And there is a Record Club only edition of that I've seen a couple of times, but I don't actually have that. So there's the first two albums, and the next one I'm going to show you is the first one that I was able to find. And even though it's the newest, relatively speaking, it's the one you're most likely to find because it was so popular. And this album actually came out in a retail form, but the version I've got is definitely a Columbia House issue of Pyromania. Really good shape as far as bubble. It's very minimal as far as the label, like any wear and tear on the label. So this is a US Columbia House edition. And there's the back cover. Again, not bad shape, really. And I have mentioned it before, 8-tracks were manufactured all the way up until 1988, but I have never, and I have done some serious research, looked around, I've looked on Facebook pages, I've looked all over the internet. As far as I know, Hysteria was never made on 8-track, although I'm not going to say it wasn't. It would have been a very, very small quantity, and if anybody's got them, and you haven't seen it on the internet by now, they're holding on to them. But if you know of anything different, if you've seen a copy of it, if you've got something to show, a copy of Hysteria in 8-track, feel free. I'm not talking about a homemade one. I mean one that was manufactured for sale. But I think I'm quite confident in saying that that is the Def Leppard 8-track discography. That's what's out there to find. And it was a lot of fun tracking those ones down. Thanks for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions.